Another episode of Inside the Booth is here, as today we talk with Kennesaw State Owls head coach Brian Bohannon. We talk about the transition from being an FCS team to an FBS team. What goes into that? What are the questions that need to be asked and the boxes that need to be checked? We also talk about recruiting for the Owls. They make this continued transition from a wishbone offense into more of a modern style. What does that look like as they get ready to play in the Conference USA? We hope you enjoy. And make sure today's show is sponsored there by Cook's Place in Columbus, Georgia, the best scrambled dog in town. We hope you enjoy one of those, maybe while you're watching today's episode. All right, we welcome you back inside the booth. My name is Bryce Koon, and today we are joined by Kennesaw State head coach Brian Bohannon. And Coach, we appreciate the time in what is across college football. There's truly no offseason, but I know for you guys entering this massive 2024 season, it's a little bit different than maybe everyone else around the country is experiencing.
Yeah, no question. It's college football is at a different place in time, anyways, and I think the off season is probably the times where things are the toughest. But we are, we've only played football for 9 seasons. Started in 2015, and in FCS football had a lot of success, and now we're taking this next big step to Conference USA FBS football, and there's a lot of moving parts to that. Just like when we started the program, there's a lot of moving parts now. That are all aspects from university to athletics to football, like the whole ball of wax. We're getting ready to make this move. So a lot of moving parts, a lot going on, but I think there's a lot of excitement as well.
Well, let's kind of dive into that. When these talks initially started, I'm sure it's something that, and you mentioned it, this is from a university standpoint, not just a football thing. It takes a university. So kind of walk us through what are those conversations like, and what are some of the things that maybe you have to start checking some boxes in order to make this type of jump?
Well, I don't know that anybody's ever really ready to make these jumps. I mean, there's some teams that are a little further along than others. Obviously, we're young. We're really a young university. We've only been around since 1963. And, the population here, when I took the job in 13, was roughly 25,000 students. We're over 45,000 now. So this place has grown really fast. The infrastructure's still trying to catch up with that growth. So I think, we had some success in FCS football. We played in 2 conferences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the Big South, the rest of the sports in the Atlantic Sun. And then we went to the Atlantic Sun for 1 season. To find that home base really in FCS was a little bit of a struggle, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
that you get a little stability. And I think with changing times, obviously at the time, Conference USA, they had a lot of changes in their conference with teams leaving. And we became somebody they were interested in. I think a lot of it has to do with location and obviously the success we've had. And so I think that has a lot to do with how this kind of came about. And like I said, you're a lot of times you're never ready for this stuff, but sometimes when opportunity comes knocking, you got to take advantage of it. And so I think that's really, kind of how some things kind of came about. I think it's finding stability in a really crazy college football environment right now, and everybody's trying to find that. And so I think that's a big piece of it for us. Is trying to find some of that. Conference USA has changed tremendously in the last year or two, and we're fortunate to be a part of that.
I know you just mentioned the ever-changing landscape of college football, and look, we could talk for about an hour off air about all of this stuff that's going on, especially a school right down the road from you that head coach left his post and is headed elsewhere. I mean, this is a crazy, crazy time. But for Kennesaw State, as you make this jump, from a staff perspective, I mean, what is the excitement level to, now have an opportunity to compete in the Conference USA, compete for bowl games? And I know there's a little window that you guys kind of have to abide that the NCAA puts down, but just the excitement for you personally, for this staff at a new challenge where, sometimes things can get a little monotonous in the terms of going through the same thing every year. This does feel like a new challenge for you and your staff, though.
Yeah, I think the unique things when we started the program, everything here has been about making history. The first win at home, the first, win on the road, the first conference win, the first playoff win. All those things have just been a part of who we are. And now we're kind of starting over to some degree with these moments of, we have not won an FBS game here yet. Now, we've played several, but we have not. So we got a chance to win the first FBS game. We got a chance to win the first FBS home game. We got a chance to win first Conference USA game. There's a lot of things that are exciting for our staff and for our players. As I go back to kind of those historical moments, right? You get to do something that's never been done. You get to do something you get to tell your kids and grandkids about. We were the first to do this. We were the first to do that. And I think those are the things that when we started, very similar, that we're embarking on now. And I think that creates excitement, right? It's different. It's new. It's a new schedule for us, different than what we've had. I think there's a lot of those things that they better provide great motivation, right? To in the off season and all those to go play. But I think those are some things that are going to be big. And you talk about, bowl games and that kind of stuff. I think that always resonates, especially with kids. That's going to resonate.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you this too, because this is something you did mention kind of in that end of the year press conference, which I guess was a couple of weeks ago. Have you been able to lean on anyone in the coaching circle? I mean, the Jacksonville States, the James Madisons of the world, these programs that have made the jump, Sam Houston State, another one, that have made that jump, here over the past couple of years of just how to navigate this from a roster construction, from a recruiting aspect of making this jump. Is that something that, do they hold their cards tightly, or has that kind of been the fraternity of coaches? Have you been able to lean on any of that?
No, I listen, I'm going to lean on every bit of information I can. And when we started the program here, I mean, I touched base with everybody that has started football in the previous 5 years and just trying to find the ins and outs of it. And it's no different now. And I'm asking a lot of questions. I talked with Sam Houston head coach at the conference meetings and a little bit at the game, just trying to, because he's the most recent, that's been in a similar position as us, as far as he's been at Sam Houston. They had some success, and they're making that transition. And so I've talked with him, and I talk and listen. It's one thing I know. I try to hire people smarter than me, and I'll listen to anybody that can help us go do the things we want to do. So there's no question you're going to lean on every bit of information you can. At the end of the day, each institution is a little different in their makeup, a little different in how they're going to navigate. Really, it's the financial piece is the big piece, right? How they're going to navigate that. And then you got the role of roster management. I even saying that because that's, you're making a jump from FCS to FBS, and then you have this other world that everybody's dealing with, right? Of kind of managing your roster and how to navigate all that. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I will listen. I will lean on anybody that has information that somehow I can use it to help our program.
I know one thing that you talked about in that presser was the idea of recruiting. As you guys have moved away from this wishbone offense last season, learning what you kind of the identity of what this program wanted to be. What was that, experience like for you? Because it seemed like it was a growth period of learning who you are. And now, I mean, you're breaking in a guy that is obviously very familiar with the program, and Chandler Burks is a co-OC alongside another guy. I mean, what has this process been for you like over the previous 365 days as you guys make that transition and continue to offensively?
It's been tough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been different trying, we've obviously last year was just a unique season altogether, right? You're in a transition, you have no conference, all the things you could think of. And then we went ahead through everything in there. We're going to, replace both coordinators, a strength coach, and we're going to have a new offense and all of it. And I do think that year, though, challenging, very uncomfortable, just because we're in a little bit of a different world. I do think we learned a lot. I do think it's put us in a place that we can go attack, being who we need to be to win here. Whether you're in the gun, RPOing, or whether you're under center running it, we have an identity. And we got to get back to that, scheme aside, because we're not changing what we're doing. But I think we got to get back to what's helped us win games here. And that's the way we play, how we play. Whether we're running or throwing it really doesn't matter to me. It's how we play. So I think those are the things that I think we have an idea of how to go attack that. I think it was, the year was not fun. I'm going to be honest with you. It was a tough year for a lot of reasons. It was just we had a lot on our plate when you look at everything that was going on at the time. And but I feel a lot better where we are now offensively we're still in a build out from a transition phase to offense. I mean, you're talking a 3-year build out, probably just transition to FBS alone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're doing on, I think you're looking at that. But I feel really good about where we are and where we're going and getting kind of back to what's helped us win here. And that's how hard we play, how tough we are. And we got to be able to run the ball, and do the things that we've done here. Doesn't mean we can't do the other stuff too, because we will.
Yeah, Coach, obviously I know one thing, and you guys' mantra is not going to change whatever conference, whoever you're playing, that attitude, effort, and toughness aspect that you've kind of brought into this program. Did want to get your thoughts on this because this was something that piqued my interest in that press conference, was you talked about recruiting guys who love football. You paused and you said you got to really, really love it. In this day and age, NIL, transfer portal, when you have your staff going out on the recruiting trail, I mean, finding guys that actually love this sport and, a lot of the adversity that can hit you in this sport in this day and age. What's that been like, and how have you navigated just this ever-changing world of college football?
Yeah, it's different. I kind of call it a little bit of post-COVID. Things are a little bit different. And I think it's when you in that press conference, it's like it's hard to identify if they really love it because they're all going to tell you they love it. It's like until you get a ton of adversity thrown on you, that's when you really find out how much you really love it. And I think sometimes we've created environments that if things aren't to your liking all the time, well, it's just easy to go do something else, and I think that's a little bit of the world we're in. And we're a program built on let's come in, let's go to work, and develop, and get guys to be the best version of themselves they can be. That's who we are. And that's a life skill. That's not just about ball. That's a life skill. But I do think it's challenging. And I said that, because it's hard to identify that sometimes. It's like you ask a lot of questions. You're digging and finding out everything you can because, most of the time people are going to tell you the good stuff, right? The things that you want to hear. You got to go dig to find out all the information because, listen, life's not easy. Football's not easy. There's nothing easy about any of it, and you got to learn to fight through some stuff sometimes. That's part of life, right? And that's part of this game as well. So we work at it, but nobody's perfect, and we're trying to get a group of young men in here that wants to be the best version of themselves they can be. And that means you're going to have to be uncomfortable at times in order to go do that. But that's what we're doing. We're developing young men to have a chance to play at the next level and also have a chance whenever that next level is done to have a chance to go provide for their family and have a chance to be successful.
We'll round it out with this one, Coach, and it's been something that's kind of been a talk around the country, and wanted to get your just insight on this as well. Obviously, this calendar that we're kind of in with college football, it's kind of all over the place. Even at the FCS level, guys are dealing with it. We talked with the new head coach down at Mercer, Mike Jacobs, last week, who stepped onto that job, and it's been a whirlwind. When you look at the calendar and the kind of the trajectory that we are with college football right now, a lot comes out about the grind that these coaches have to go to. Have you seen that on your own staff? And how do you balance that healthy lifestyle between being at home with family, but also continuing to build what you want to be eventually is a national championship type of program?
Yeah, I think it's definitely changed a lot. There's no question. It's honestly, the offseason has become the tough time of year, right? In season, you got your team, when your game is, like, in good, bad, or indifferent, you go attack it, and whatever happens, you deal with it, and you get ready for the next one, right? That's, and then the rest of the year, you're just kind of hanging on a little bit, whether it's recruiting or your own roster, recruiting, junior college, you're recruiting the portal, you're recruiting high school, it's a lot. And a lot of it happens at one time, like for us this year, man, we lost 3 coaches during that 2-week December period. I mean, shoot, I don't know what you do about that. Like, you got 2 weeks, and there's no way to manage all of it. So I think it's very challenging right now. And I know there's a lot of talks, and I'm on some different committees where we're trying to, see if we can find ways to move the signing date maybe a little bit earlier to try to help a little bit. But it's challenging right now. I'm not going to sit here and say any different. But I will say this, Here in our program, when I hire coaches, it's check your ego at the door. We're here for the greater good of Kennesaw State football. I'm not going to micromanage, but we're going to keep an eye on what's going on. And listen, I want to empower you to do your job, right? And we're all bought in this thing together. When your work is done, your work is done. Go home, right? Like, we're not up here trying to, well, we were here later than so. That's just not who we are. We go get our work done. When it's time to be with family, it's time to be with family. Life's too short, right? Like, we love our job. We want to win. Don't get me wrong. But we're going to have time. It's never balanced like it should be, but we're going to have that time. We're going to find a way to make it now. It's harder now than it ever was. Way harder. Like, even when you're at home, it's hard to be at home, if that makes sense, because your phone is with you and you know what I mean? So it's, but I think we've done a good job with that here. We'll continue to do that. We have to navigate the landscape of college football. We're all doing that right now, and that's the challenging piece, I think, for all of us.
Coach Brian Bohannon of Kennesaw State. Coach, we appreciate the time, and I'm going to embarrass him a little bit. My producer back in the background just shot me a message and said, this guy didn't recruit me out of high school. Why are we doing the interview with him? So just joking with you, but no, hey, it's okay. Just messing with you though, man. It's good. It's good. But hey, we appreciate your time. Best of luck to you this spring. I know you guys are ready to kind of get working in that spring game, and best of luck to you all with this transition as well.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Bryce.
Yes, sir. Appreciate Coach Bohannon joining the show, and we appreciate you for watching here on YouTube. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment down below as well. And you can join us and check out all the information right there underneath. We would love to have you join the Crowded Booth for live shows talking college football and shows like this, pre-recorded interviews with some of the sport's biggest stars. We'll talk to you next time here on Inside the Booth, a part of the Crowded Booth.